Oh, and you're on mute.
Oh,
there you are. Now we can hear you.
All right. What's up? What's up, Mr. Rob? How you doing today?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Hanging in there. Yeah. So we're getting a lot of rain, eh? It was a beautiful day yesterday, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird. I left the gym this morning and it was drizzling, and then it got really sunny, and I was like, okay, cool. It's gonna be a sunny day. Which I think is a title of a song. And then
I think it's lovely day. I think it's gonna be a lovely day. Lovely day. They used it for like McDonald's commercials or something like that.
It's a sunny delight. And then all of a sudden, it just fucking started just raining like crazy. So that's where we are, John. It's raining like crazy.
Oh man. All right. Welcome everybody. If you're catching this on the replay, we do go live every Monday night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So join us for that. It's a lot of fun in the live show. And you guys in the live show, thank you so much for joining us. I see John's in the house, Lewis, Frazier, Scott's in. And I think Facebook user. Sorry, I won't display your name, but Bill Withers, yes. I don't know who that is, but all right. So, welcome to the show, folks. Let's talk a little bit. How was everybody's weekend? Did you guys get to see anything new? Did you go out and watch a movie in the theaters? Did you watch something new on streaming? Let us know in the chat if you got to check out anything new, and if it's something we should check out, or maybe something we should avoid. So first things first, I'm going to ask Mr. Rob. Did you get to check out anything new, exciting, fun this weekend?
I didn't get to go to the theater, but I did check out a couple of Joey! I did get to check out a couple of documentaries that I thought were pretty interesting. One being quite timely. The first one was, and they're both on Netflix. Let me just preface this by saying, Return to Space. It's a documentary about the U.S. And
Sounds boring.
No. It's the Return to Space, but it's kind of focused on SpaceX and Elon Musk, who, John, as you know, I apparently bought this channel for $44 billion. So this will be our last show. From here, we're going to be in Tahiti next week. So it was a pretty cool documentary. If you are a fan of like space and exploration, I know you may have some feelings about Mr. Musk currently, but I will say that when you watch a documentary and see his passion for space exploration, you'll probably it'll give you a bit of a different insight a little bit. Also, I watched it, John. You may be really interested in this one. It's called White Hot: The Rise and Fall of Abercrombie and Fitch.
I'm gonna be interested in that.
Because I kind of feel like you were in that zone, that targeted.
How does the song go? You know how the song goes. How does it go?
I'm not gonna sing the song.
You like girls that what?
I actually wasn't overly familiar with that song, but they did.
You lie.
No, I don't. Anyway, it's a pretty cool documentary. But you know what else I did, John, really quickly, is I got this book at Christmas and I finally finished it. The Apollo Murders from Chris Hadfield, Canadian astronaut. And if you are, we've talked about the TV show For All Mankind, the Apple TV Plus kind of revisionist history on space exploration tied into anyways, you may actually quite enjoy this. It's a historical. It's not. It didn't really happen, John. But you might like. And I decided to crack this sucker open, John. I've had this in my bookshelf for a while. I redid my books, and did some organizing, and I decided to crack open the Batman Omnibus, Volume 1, Scott Snyder. I did this. Yeah, I'm about a quarter of the way through. I cracked it open yesterday.
Look at that bookmark in there. Come on.
Yeah. So the dust jacket is in the shelf there. You never read it with the dust jacket on, guys.
You don't?
But yeah.
I feel like it would just slip out of your hands. If you leave the dust jacket on, all of a sudden it would slip out. Have you ever seen those guys or gals who use the dust jacket as also the bookmark?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Does that drive you crazy?
So my pro tip of the day is when you're having an omnibus and you're reading it, keep the dust jacket in your shelf, and that way it looks like you don't have a missing space. So that's what I did this weekend, John. What did you do, bud?
I don't know. I got to address this comment first. So Sarah says Gord was invited to be one of the shirtless guys in the New York store. So that's a reference to the Abercrombie Fitch. I'm not surprised. Gord is one good-looking gentleman. So I wish he did it, and Sarah had photos. That would be the greatest thing ever. I remember going to Abercrombie and Fitch before it was here in Canada. We would drive across the border, me and my wife, and we would go to the Walden Galleria, and they had Abercrombie Fitch stores. and the guy's working the cash. So my first time going, first off, the lights are all down low. So I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to see all these clothing? It's pitch black in here. And then the guys are ringing us out. I kid you not. Their biceps were like freaking humongous.
Yeah.
And they're like trying to put like the clothes in the bags. I'm like, I feel like these guys need smaller, skinnier guys to maneuver items into the into your packages and get them going. But yeah, shout outs to them. I think I do want to check out that.
I think it's actually a really cool
only after you sing the song, though. But you know, unless you were a bigger fan of the Girl on TV track that they dropped. But
John. Embarrassingly, I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember the name of the band because when they actually sampled the song, they showed a piece of the video in the documentary, and I was like, because I think that was an early 2000s jam, and I was definitely not listening to that music.
So you are not familiar with the Light Funky Ones?
No.
And their hit song, Abercrombie and Fitch.
No.
Does Chinese food make you sick?
No, it gives me the runs. All right.
Anyways, okay, so unfortunately I didn't get to as much. Looks like Rob knocked off like 5 things off his like to-do list over this weekend. I was running the Magic new pre-release. Thanks to Pat for helping me out running all the new Magic release. New Capernia is out now. So that was a fun time. The only thing I got to watch, Rob, was have you dove into Tokyo Vice at all? Is anyone in the comments have you checked it? Yeah. No, yeah, I'm like 3 episodes in. It's pretty cool. Like the characters, you kind of get to see all kinds of different sides of the story that's going on and stuff like that. You don't kind of quite get where it's going just yet. So I do recommend checking that out if you're on Crave. And I think the new show that we're all super excited for, We Own the City, not We Build This City on Rock and Roll.
That's right.
Comes out today, but I checked. It is not up yet. So I don't know if it's like an evening debut or something like that.
9:00 tonight, John.
Okay, cool. Yep. All right. So after this, we're all going to watch that. I think Jonathan Yost said he saw Everything All at Once, which Rob did see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he posted what he thought of it. Sarah said she also wanted to see that. Scott saw Sarah getting attacked by pool noodles. That's always very entertaining. So if you don't follow her on Instagram, definitely check that out. I would love to get that job, but it'd have to be really long pool noodles, and I would probably need a couple tables like blocking us off so she couldn't get me. But anyway, yeah, I don't see.
I was gonna start Outer Range on Prime.
Oh yeah.
But they've only released the first few episodes. It's gone weekly. I think they've released the first 2 or 3, and now it's weekly. So I think I'm going to wait to binge. I feel like We Own This City. I will watch week to week. But something like Outer Range, I think I'm just going to wait till it's all done to binge it. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I think that's all we got for the weekend, unless anyone else has got something they checked out on the weekend that they think we should check out. So let's start moving on, folks. If you're joining us for the first time, we're going to be talking about an update for the Heroes World comic shop of the New Millennium is our full name. What's up, Rob? Oh,
all white Canadians are in pasty white skin mode. Hey, this guy tans like something fierce, and I retain my tan. So John remembers how much I tan. So okay,
he's known as Lobster Man normally when the summer rolls around. So
no, I'm known as George Hamilton. All right, what's the update?
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about what's new at the store. So if you guys haven't been to the store lately, we do post the new comic book releases on our social media every Monday morning on Instagram and Facebook. So if you're looking for whatever new comic is coming in at our shop, Heroes World Comic Shop, you can go there and check that out. I'm going to bring your attention to a couple titles coming out this week. So first on the docket is the new Amazing Spider-Man #1. So we've got another brand new #1. Some crazy stuff is going down. Peter Parker is back, and they actually brought back old school John Romita Jr. Rob, I don't know if you used to read Spider-Man back in the day, but this is kind of nostalgic for me. So when I was first getting into comics, this is the guy who was doing Spider-Man comics.
Yeah.
Well, some people might not like his style. It kind of brings back a lot of feelings for me. So I think some people are going to really dig this. Some people are maybe not going to be quite on board. And the book has got we got alone at least 10 different covers coming in. I'm sure other shops might have more. There's some super rare ones. So if you have shops that order really deep, you'll be able to get some rare ones. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of exclusive ones. This one here I'm featuring here is a Humberto Ramos cover on the left. I don't know if it's reversed for anybody. And on the right is a Paul Gleason cover, which is this cool web style cover that he's been doing lately, and everybody really, really digs it. So I think this.
Can I ask a question of you, John? Though the JR, you're right. He was great in the '80s, but his art style has definitely changed.
Yeah. Here you can see, it's definitely a lot more dynamic, a lot more colors going on. He used to draw really thick, chunky guys. So over to the Spider-Man on the cover there used to be a lot kind of wider back in the day, and the heads would be like almost like just big blocks kind of. So I think he's adapted a lot more. So I feel like everyone should definitely give him another chance. But it was definitely during the runs where Spider-Man was definitely at his height back in the day. So
yeah. Joey
says his leg is whack. Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, the final issue is finally coming out this week. So this series started before the pandemic.
Yeah, I was gonna say it feels forever.
Yeah, it kind of got held up. So we've endured months and months of people going, "Hey, can I get Last Ronin and trade paperback?" And we've had to say, "Oh, they've got 2 more issues to go." Okay, they've got 1 more issue to go, and now it is complete. So it will be available in some type of collection, I'm sure, in the next month or 2. But this is a story of basically an alternate future where all the turtles have died except for one. So there stands only one brother. You get to find out who it is in the storyline, and it's kind of got this kind of like very dark kind of tone to it. So I think originally it was conceived back in the day when Batman: The Dark Knight Strikes and all that kind of stuff was conceived. So it's along that kind of feeling. I'm sure they've updated it because they're bringing it into that. That might have been the holdup, or they might have just been waiting for the right time to strike with it. But
what issue is this?
This is the 5th one. So this is the 5th and final issue. Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully they do like a nice oversized hardcover collection of it, because I would totally be down for that.
Yeah. I think so. I think that would be a very sharp collection for everyone out, and it got a lot of heat. So we'll check that out. There's action figures and all kinds of fun stuff coming out. So if you dig this series, I'll look out for merch coming soon. Berserker, Keanu Reeves' vehicle from Boom Studios has resumed. So they did the first 6 issues, and they've kind of been slowly resuming then. So this is issue 8 of 12. So he plays like kind of like an immortal, almost like soldier, kind of not clear of what his past is. So if you dig in the Keanu Reeves and his vibe, this is definitely a book for you. They did release the first half in a trade paperback, and then we'll get 4 more issues for this one. Yeah, that's the math, right? 8 plus 4 is 12. Yeah, right. Then they'll probably compile it in a really nice hardcover later on. Yeah. Shut up, Rob. And we also did get copies of Marvel United, which is a very fun cooperative game for the whole family. It comes with a bunch of miniatures. You work together to defeat villains like Red Skull, Ultron, and Taskmaster. And then there will be expansions and all kinds of fun stuff to slide in. I did get a chance to play this over the weekend, and it was a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a fun game for you and the kids, check it out. And then we also did get a big stock of new Joy Toy stuff. So Joy Toy does these kind of, typically they're military inspired, but now they've got the Warhammer 40K license. So we're seeing some Space Marine and Chaos Space Marine stuff coming out. So these are really cool. These guys in particular in the 1/18th scale, so the size of the old 3-inch G.I. Joes, not the new big 6-inch, not the big 12-inch Kung Fu grip guys, but the smaller ones that a lot of you guys probably grew up with. Rob, you probably grew up with those little guys at the Kmarts and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah. Zellers.
Yeah, Zellers. Oh man, Zellers. Remember when they used to have Batman and Robin as kind of like their spokespeople? I feel like that was a thing for a little while. But
I don't remember that.
No, you don't remember that? I swear they had Batman and Robin kind of promoting Zellers. But these are also some more of their other unlicensed stuff. I think it might have a license overseas, but over here, this side, these are kind of just unaffiliated with anything. So this is a really cool mecha that they came out with. And then they do have this guy on they call it Dragon Cavalry. So it's kind of like a motorbike thing, and it's got like a stand and everything like that. So if you want to check those out, please drop by the store. And we also do have them on the website as well. So let me kick it over to Rob for the news.
Yeah. Before I get in the news, I just want to address something. So Gord says, I do not believe that Rob was not a huge fan of LFO of Summer Girls in 1999. I bet he used to dye his tips with the bros. I got to be honest, guys. This wasn't I don't recognize this song. But that being said, I used to bleach my hair blonde. And so, and often people would call me Jonavision. So I will do my best to... I have photos.
This is great, folks.
I had my earrings in, my blonde hair.
This earrings? Really?
Earrings.
So you have pierced ears, but I guess they've sealed up by now. Or are you gonna?
I can still put something through for you, John.
You should definitely rock the the little cross on the chain. I've always wanted the little chain with the little cross. Every time I saw it on movies, I was like, that's a cool look. I can't pull it off.
So I will try to dig up some of those photos. But yes, I would bleach the hair blonde. And there's lots of photos in the late 90s with me like that. So.
Late 90s are up.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the picture of you with the shaved Vanilla Ice eyebrows. So.
Never did that. All right, guys, let's get into the news, otherwise known as Hey John. Hey John, what do you get when you combine 5 lion robots into one?
I don't know.
Okay, well, my script has
you get a Voltron.
Right, you get Voltron, the defender of the universe. News came out at the end of March that we missed, so way to go on that one, John. About a live-action movie. Last week, a Hollywood Reporter broke the story that Amazon Studios looks to be the future home of the giant robot, with Red Notice's Rawson Marshall Thurber directing and writing the movie. Now, supposedly Thurber has put together a sizzle reel that he did, pre-viz stuff, some rough shit, right? And the studios were going bananas for it and were fighting each other to land this project. But it looks like Amazon seems to have won that battle. No idea as to a start date on production. And we should note, John, that this is the umpteenth time that this property has tried to be adapted for the big screen. But fingers crossed, John, we're going to get a live-action Voltron movie. So is this exciting, or could you care less?
No, I think like Pacific Rim. I don't think we've really talked about Pacific Rim in this show before, but that first one especially was a ton of fun. So I am down with giant robots. I don't know if Joey's still watching, but combining robots is their thing. I'm sure this would do very well for kind of all those involved. So did they ever do it in that new Power Rangers movie that they did? I'm pretty sure you saw it. Did they ever combine into a big Megazord?
I did. Yes, they did. I took my son to go see that. That's the one with Elizabeth Banks as Rita Repulsa, right? You know what? It wasn't a bad movie, that updated Power Rangers movie. I actually kind of enjoyed it.
I remember kind of liking. I think I didn't see the end because I don't remember seeing a Megazord, or maybe it was very short, that portion of the movie. So
they did form it. It was not as one would remember, John. It was more like a Transformers looking, like your first Transformers movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool.
Years and other shit.
Right. So hopefully we get a Voltron movie. And listen, you got the guy doing Red Notice. We know that he's directing 2 and 3, but somewhere he's going to be slotting in Voltron. So we'll see how that goes. Hey, John, we're moving from one story about a streaming service to the next. And unfortunately, it's not going to be good news. Last week, Netflix's stock dropped 30% after they reported losing about 200,000 subscribers. As a result, Netflix has decided to revamp their kids and family section. And that means a whack of series and movies have been scrapped, including Jeff Smith's Bone series. This is the 4th time a Bone movie or TV show has been canceled. So, John, is Bone just destined to remain in its graphic novel form only?
I think so. Like, this property has been around forever, since I started in the biz. So like the store's been open for about 20 years. So this book was out for 20 years, and then they got a deal with Scholastic, and I think it got into schools and stuff like that, and nothing's come of it. So that is really bizarre. I thought Amazon was cutting all their kind of like anime kind of stuff, but I'm surprised that they would cut. I feel like kids shows are like kind of like their bread and butter, right? Like, like Paw Patrol, all that kind of stuff. So this would have been a great new property for kids. But yeah, it's surprising, but also not surprising, because I feel like half of the people, probably a lot of people in the chat, won't even know what this character is. Like, if you just pop this on the screen and you're like, who's this? They'd be like, Casper?
Yeah.
Ghost Richie Rich?
Yeah, it is too bad. I mean, Netflix is definitely chopping out. There's probably a lot of shows, John, that you, maybe your family, even in stuff that we've reviewed. I mean, we may not be getting a new Masters of the Universe. I mean, that's my conjecture. Nothing's been reported, but apparently the report is a bunch of hit shows, animated shows have been canceled, and they just haven't dished out the names yet. So I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen with Netflix, but somebody had surmised that maybe it's because of what's happening over in the Ukraine and Russia. I don't think that that's it. I think it's, to be very honest with you, John, I think that we have so many streaming services now, and Netflix seems to be the one that keeps upping the price on a pretty consistent basis. And people are just looking at it saying, there's a lot more bang for my buck in the HBO Maxes and the Disney Pluses and of the world than there is right now on Netflix. So, maybe that's it, but we shall see what happens. It's just too bad. If you do, I would definitely recommend you go to Twitter and check out Jeff Smith's Bone tweet. He did it in the style of the Peanuts, where Lucy keeps kicking the ball away from Charlie Brown. And the whole premise of this, I think it's 9-panel, drawing he did, is that it was Universal, it was Warner Brothers, it was somebody else, and now it's Netflix to keep taking it away. So he's just like, I'm done with trying to get this property made. So it's sad. It was a pretty cool tweet. It was cool to see him draw that, but it's kind of sad the same. Hey, John, your boy Vin Diesel took to Instagram the other day to bellow that filming on the 10th installment of Fast and the Furious has commenced by posting this logo on his page. I have nothing else to say about this, but I know that you, sir, are excited.
Are you not going to read the tweet in your Vin Diesel voice?
I was no.
No, you won.
You won.
Yes, it's a cool logo. Fast X. It makes me feel like they're gonna really pull something crazy and go X-Men superhero style. So we'll see if they start going back in time or whatever the hell's going on. But yeah. I look forward to seeing the cars with these X headlights, I guess, that they're showing off in this picture. It's going to be ridiculous. But yeah. I would like to know where they go in this installment. So we shall see. Let me see, John, we have one more. I think we do. And finally, John, we move on from one crappy story to the next. As Sony announced that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, initially scheduled to drop this fall, is now moving to June 2nd, 2023. And as a result, Part 2 will now come out March 29th, 2024. Producers state this is a case of them needing more time to make the movie perfect. Whatever. I have zero patience for this type of shit. The only silver lining in this, John, is that Sony also announced that Denzel Washington will be back for a third Equalizer movie, which will drop September the 1st, 2023. So, John, first of all, this gets me very excited. I'm a big fan of these two movies. I'm not a big fan of the show with Queen Latifah at all. I'm sure it has its fans, not for me, but these movies I'm all down for. So I'm excited for a third installment. But, John, do you have thoughts on Spidey moving, or are you in a whatever mood? Yeah, this is the movie that I never was as hyped about as other people, the Spider-Verse stuff. I had watched it after the hype train had started, so I think I got overhyped when I saw it. It is a great, fantastic movie, but I guess it didn't live up to the expectations of everyone saying it's like the greatest thing that they've ever done. So yeah, I guess it pushed back another year. Sure, it's going to be here before you know it, so it's not a big deal. And if it is in favor of quality, yeah, sure, bring it on. Why not?
Yeah. Whatever, man. No patience.
Yeah.
That, John, is the news.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rob. That was some fantastic news bites. Hopefully that got everybody ready to roll. So what do we do after the news? Usually we
talk about what we did on the Heroes World podcast. So if you haven't, first of all, thank you to everybody that is listening tonight, whether you're listening live or listening after the fact. We really do appreciate it. Please do us all a favor and make sure you review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever if you're listening to the audio. And John would usually touch his ears at this point. And for those who are watching either live or after the fact, please make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and all that fun jazz. And thank you so much, everybody. We have lots of comments going on here. People questioning why I drove a candy red Acura. It was my mom.
I debate on if the actual brochure for an Acura has ever said candy in it at all.
It was a candy cup holder. Listen, you know what?
It was a candy red Acura what though? Do you remember what type of Acura it was? No.
No.
No?
My brother wrote it off. All I know is he was making a left-hand turn from Warden onto the 401 and he got smoked. So
yeah, left-hand turns are dangerous, folks. So you kids just learn to drive. Take your time on those left-hand turns.
Which is really weird because I used to like totally burn and then would be doing donuts in parking lots high as a kite. So whatever. So yeah, if you haven't had an opportunity to join, to listen to the Heroes World podcast episode this week, John, Stu, and myself, we did a review and our thoughts on Moon Knight episode 4. John, I don't want to speak for him, but I'm just going to say he's kind of lukewarm to the point of I'm ready to turn the tap off on this property. Whereas Stu and I are quite enjoying it. So there's 2 episodes left. We'll see how that goes, and definitely join us next week or I guess later this week for episode review of episode 5. And with that, John, I guess that's really all.
Yeah, I'm debating on what Acura exactly this was that Rob drove. I suspect it was an EL or maybe a Vigor. Those cars were pretty popular back then. I did. It
had a black bra on it, John. I don't know.
Oh, you know what? It was probably a Vigor, an Acura Vigor, which is actually funny because Stu had the same similar model. So you might want to double check that. That might be another kind of link up that you and Stu have, because those cars usually actually always had this bra on the front.
Actually, Gore said it had to have been an Integra, and maybe it was. I think it would have been an Acura Integra. I think that's what it was.
Was it 4 doors or 2 doors? Sorry, we're trying to get to the bottom of this.
I think it was 2 doors.
2 doors? Sure. Yeah. So it could have been an Acura Integra or the Acura Vigora.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Integra.
The Integra? All right. That's pretty sporty.
I think it was my mother. She was going through a midlife crisis. My brother totaled it, and then she decided to get a Toyota RAV4. So yeah, there we go.
Anyways, all right. Sarah asked what type of watch this is. This is my nerdy watch. It's a Street Fighter branded Seiko 5, red and gold, because it's supposed to be Zangief from Street Fighter. So it was my idea. I'll get this watch and it'll be a talking point, and nobody else plays Street Fighter, so this never comes up. Really, no, is that Zangief? No, get out of here. Anyways. On to Rob's like, what the F is going on right now?
Right, so you have to talk about cars. I have no idea. I just drove them. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no. If you start talking about cars, yeah, everything's going to get derailed because it's one of the few things that I kind of know about. But anyways,
and I have zero knowledge about.
You have knowledge of cars that they drive from point A to B. So, Rob, what are we talking about this week? This movie that came out, we just saw it in theaters. Yeah, 45 days ago.
Yep. March the 8th, I think it was. John, do you want me to give you a rundown, or do you want to do some other things first?
Yeah, let's warm up, folks. Or sure. Do you want to warm up because the warm up involves talking about the bat suit and the Batmobile from this movie. So do we want to warm up with the stats for the movie?
Let me do the rundown.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Okay, cool. All right, the rundown. The Batman, written and directed by Matt Reeves, was released quite some time ago, John, March 4th, 2022, as in last month, starring Robert Pattinson in the title role. The movie had an estimated budget of $200 million and has grossed thus far $759 million, John. It keeps making money every weekend, even if it's a couple of million. Movie also
couple million,
sure. Couple million here and there. Yeah, it's pennies to Elon Musk. Movie also stars Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Paul Dano as the Riddler, Jeffrey Wright as Lieutenant James Gordon, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone, and an unrecognizable Colin Farrell as the Penguin. John, the movie has a fairly long production history starting in 2016 when Ben Affleck was going to write and direct his Batman movie. Then things started going a little bit south on that, especially coming off of Justice League. And in January 27, Ben stepped down from the director's chair, but still intended to star in the movie. Warner Brothers was looking for replacement directors. They talked to Ridley Scott, George Miller, and Denis Villeneuve, but it was Reeves.
Your boy, Denis Villeneuve.
That's right. A proclaimed longtime Batman fan who shot to the top of the list. And despite enjoying Ben's script, however, Reeves wanted to make his own movie, his own take on The Dark Knight. And Ben was dealing with some personal issues. I'm talking like I know the guy, but Mr. Affleck was dealing with personal issues, and he stepped away. Initially, this movie was supposed to drop June 25th, 2021, but was moved as production shut down due to COVID. The movie initially started filming, John, in January of 2020, and 2 months later had to shut down for 6 months. Now listen, man, there's a lot of information on this movie, a lot of background, John, and I just don't really feel like rehashing it all. So you guys can go and Google it yourself. But I will say this: Nicholas Hout, Army Hammer, who is making a reappearance in our podcast, and Aaron Taylor Johnson were on a short list to replace Affleck as Batman, but it was Robert Pattinson who won. He was a front runner, eventually the winner. Movie dropped on HBO Max in the US on April 18th, and Crave up here in Canada. It reportedly pulled in 720,000 streams on HBO Max in its first 24 hours, John. The Rotten Tomatoes score is 85% fresh with critics and slightly higher at 87% with us normal folk. So, John, after seeing the movie in theaters and now getting to see it at home, are you all in on the Batman?
Yeah, so the Batman. So finally, I did want to watch this twice. I think, Rob, you did get to see it twice in theaters.
I did.
I did want to run it back, but it was nice to be able to kind of watch it in the comfort of your own home. I will say it definitely benefited from like a digital treatment. I feel like the screen that I saw it on was not as crisp, even as just a laptop screen. So there's a lot more to be seen on this rewatch, which was pretty cool. So let's warm up a little bit, Rob, and let's start off with some easy questions, folks. We're going to talk about the bat suit. We're going to ask, is Robert Pattinson's version of the bat suit your favorite bat suit? Or what else would be your favorite? Maybe what's your favorite and what's your least favorite? Let's go with that. So people in the comments, get ready. I've got a quick slideshow ready to refresh some of you guys, and me and Rob, mostly Rob, because I feel like he knows more of this information. We're going to talk a little bit about the suits here. So I'm going to pop up our first little slide. Let me get this banner off.
While you're doing that, we should all recognize that Jonathan Yo has already commented that his favorite are the bat nipples. He's the big fan of the Schumacher era, so that's how he's going to go.
All right, so I've got the first three kind of suits that we came across in, I would say, most of our youths. So we have Adam West in the 1966 Batman bat suit, which I think looks hella good on him, especially. And if you were ever to get a Halloween costume, I think that would be the greatest costume to grab. We have the Batman animated series. A lot of us grew up with that, almost unanimously one of the best animated TV shows of anyone's childhood. And then we have Rob's jam, the 89 Batman. Any thoughts on these three suits that we're looking at first here?
Well, yeah, listen, my first Batman, like on a TV screen, was Adam West Batman. So for me, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And you're right. You know what? They used to actually sell that costume. It was like $200 for a Halloween. And I always wanted to pull the trigger, but I didn't because I'm fearful of my wife, John. But my affinity for the Burton Batman suits as worn by Michael Keaton in the first movie and Batman Returns. And of interest, the symbol, John, do you know the story with the symbol on the far right on Keaton's Batman? You know, it's different because they actually didn't have the rights for the actual bat symbol. So that's why in the movie it's got an extra drop down.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was why they never had the actual right, because it was a trademark logo and they didn't have the right to be able to use it. So
they were doing it just in case, I think. I remember, do you remember that 70s show? I think a lot of episodes Fez would wear that same Batman costume. And every time I saw it, I'd be like, man, I really want to get that because that'd be the ultimate thing to wear in the wear for Halloween. So Sarah's shouting out the dad bod in the West suit. I think the joke was on Simpsons, right? He's like 100% West, no like fake muscles. Right. Lewis is shouting out the animated series. We got lots of love for these suits, but these might just be nostalgic suits, right? Like we might like more of the newer suits. So let's scroll ahead here and take a look here. So this is, I think this, Rob, you've already stated that this is one of your favorite bat suits. This is the Batman Returns. Keaton redesigned with a more kind of geometric looking, not looking like actual muscles, more looking like an armored suit. How do you feel about this suit nowadays?
I love it. It's one of my favorite cowls. This cowl is vastly different than the one from the 89 movie. The 89 movie is very thick. And this one is obviously a lot more thin on his face. Yes, you are right. This is probably my favorite suit. It just looks like it was ripped out of the comic books.
Yeah. I remember. I think Wizard magazine would cover it, and they'd be like, "Oh, look, the bat suit muscles are different." So shout out to Wizard magazine. If you guys probably never heard of it, most of you young
R.I.P.
guys.
I used
Yeah.
to collect them. I
Yeah.
had them a whole stack of them, man.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I had a bunch, and I actually threw them out like several years back, and I wish I didn't, because they'd be fun to go through now. And then this, we go on to Batman Forever. This is the Val Kilmer suit. How do you feel about Val Kilmer's suit? I kind of like these vents on his upper ear portion.
Yeah, it made no sense to me. I will say though that Val Kilmer did wear a suit, and it's in the first part of this movie that had the yellow symbol, and it looked really good. Like there's a one shot with him coming out of the fire when he went down the building, and he's coming out, and he puts the cape over, and it stops the flames. And he's got the old suit on with the yellow symbol. It looks hella good. But these ones I just cannot get behind.
Yeah.
At all.
And then this was Batman and Robin, infamous bat nipples, and I think this is the George Clooney one, right?
Yeah.
I had to double check. I'm like, how many of these Batman movies have there been? Has been 4? I thought there was a mysterious 5th one that I kept forgetting. So I don't know if maybe I did forget it. I don't know. No. So this suit, I feel like is going to be on nobody's kind of favorite list. The nipples are pretty hilarious. I think we showed off some action figures that kind of use these bat nipples and stuff like that.
It makes no sense, John. It makes zero sense. Like
it would be funny to see a little bat ear. You know what? You know what, Sarah? They should have had the little chain with the cross. There we go. Let's bring it back. And then we jumped onto the Nolan Trilogy, which had various variations on the suit, but this was very separate. It looked more like a legit suit that someone could wear. I feel. I did really like I thought I liked the first one, but I feel like the first one doesn't look as good. It might have been the second one, which is the Dark Knight one, that I really liked.
I like the Dark Knight one more than the first one. The first one was really cool to see when you saw it, but I really like the Dark Knight one because it allowed more flexibility with his head. He didn't look so stuck in it. I will say though, John, and I know this is the only thing about this cowl that drives me crazy. There's two things. One is that you can see they've got these lines on the cheekbone, like they make the cheekbones come out onto it. It makes, and it's a very small around his mouth. Like it just looks a bit bizarre, right? Like it makes the top of his head look huge. So
it did give it almost looked like a skull kind of a look to it.
Yes.
But I still think they were great for their time. So moving on, we're going to see this was the Justice League one in the Bat flick. Really chunky Batman, right?
Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, Batman versus Superman or Justice League-ish costume. Do you still like this costume, Rob? I think
I do, man. I like the one on the right, which is the Batman versus Superman one, because I think it just looks sick. I mean, that warehouse scene is unbelievable, and watching that suit move that way when he's fighting off those guys is phenomenal. It's probably one of my favorite sequences with a live-action Batman.
I kind of like that. I didn't pull it because I feel like it's a different Batman suit, but the tactical suit that he puts on later, and I think Justice League with the goggles and all that, I did kind of like that suit. But this one, I think it was good for what they were going for, especially in the first Batman v Superman movie. This is the Arkham Knight Batman costume, which I feel like deserves some kind of shout out. It looked really good with the armor. I didn't get to play these games as much, but I think you got to collect all different color versions of this armor and things like that. So I definitely did want to shout that one out quickly. I don't know if we want to mention this one, the CW bat suit. I think it was from Batwoman or I don't know.
No, this was from so Gotham. The kid puts on the outfit at the last episode when he's like 19 or whatever.
Yeah. So I just wanted to shout that out that it is out there. Yeah, unfortunately, TV budget Batman suit. It looks okay. And then now we're on to the Pattinson one, which does look really good. Just so we would have some context of what the evolution of the suits were. But How do you feel? The only thing I think looks a little strange, especially now that everything is super clear and visible on the digital download now,
Yep.
is the collar. It does look kind of funny now that you can see it in the theater. I feel like I didn't really see that separation.
So
But
I
overall,
was not a big fan of this collar when we first saw it. I was like, what the hell? But supposedly that they did this because it needed to be able to protect his neck, but allowed him to have free range of his head. Whereas a lot of those movies, aside from The Dark Knight and Rises, his whole body had to turn, right? Because he couldn't move his neck. So it was a practicality measure, which kind of ties into most of the design of this costume. So
yeah,
I'm actually okay with the neck guard, the collar. Than
For the style of this movie, which is a lot of kind of like a function, I guess, over form, you would call it. Like they try to use a little more real world stuff. A lot of gear was just straight up blacked out. Like you know, Catwoman just wore all black basically. That's all she wore, right? Which made sense in the real world. I do like the whole geometry. I really like this chest, how far the bat symbol goes, and how it's kind of all it looks. I guess I don't know if you just call things tactical when they start having different rivets and like different things going on, and you do find out in the movie that it is a knife, which is pretty handy. I don't know if anyone who works retail knows that having a knife handy is really great, because basically all you're doing is all the time is opening boxes and cutting things to get
retail and Dexter.
Yeah. So what do you think, Rob? The
Wu-Tang make an appearance. Get your skins on Fortnite, everybody. All right.
Oh man. Quick shout outs to the Wu-Tang. So Rob, and everybody in the comments, how do you feel? Do you guys really like the Pattinson suit? Does it rank up there? And like maybe you don't have to give us your exact ranking, but in the top 3, would it make that, or are you still just
it's my top?
It's top 4. Designs?
It's top 4. Yeah. For me. I will say I have really grown to like this costume. But I will say there's one scene that pulls it away from me, and he's hanging from the towards the end of the movie. He's hanging, right? The guy shoots him with the gun, and he's hanging there. And it's like he's almost, you can see that he's he's got the straps around his arms for the pads, but underneath it's like a bodysuit, like a jumpsuit almost, and you can almost you can see it, and I'm like, like it just looks like he's wearing cloth underneath, right? So I was like, but aside from that, I quite like it.
Yeah. Okay. I think I definitely rank it up there. I think this one, just because the tactical and kind of real world kind of look to it. I don't know if it's even real world. It just looks, I guess it's more in style now. All the angles, and
it's more grounded in reality than the other ones were.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, this and probably the Dark Knight are my 2 favorite, because they actually look like armor that probably could work in today's world. So yes. I didn't want to get Batman Beyond is not Bruce Wayne Batman. Everyone keeps going, hey, what about Batman Beyond? Like, here's the theme song for Batman Beyond. Here's the suit. Let's remember that Batman Beyond is actually Terry McGinnis, and Bruce only wears this suit for a little bit. But definitely shout out to that. I feel like we should do some type of Batman Beyond show or something like that, because Return of the Joker is a hell of a movie, and that TV show is great. So let's quickly jump to my next one. We'll do this one a little bit more quickly. Batmobile, Rob. So we're gonna start talking about cars again. Are you gonna phase out?
No. There's Batmobiles. Yeah. I'm good.
There's Batmobiles. Okay.
Batmobile, Kit, or Airwolf, even though it's a
All right. So keep it easy, folks. Let us know what your favorite Batmobile is, and we'll run through them. So this is the 1966 Batmobile. I forgot what it's based off of, but I think it's based off of a real car. But man, does this look hella good? Cool. With the the real world rims and all that kind of stuff, and I had the jet turbine in the back, and then this kind of like the pods. You're basically getting a convertible. I think this is one of the only Batman convertibles. This, of course, the '89 Tim Burton era Batmobile.
Why do you have a photo of a car in front of like?
I don't know. It was actually hard to find really good pictures of these cars from the movies, because people would just take screenshots. And then this, I think, was, I guess, a replica or something was up for auction. So it's in front of some I don't know what that is. What you would
It's a
call that?
house, John. It's
Yeah,
called a house.
but it looks like a cottage or something like that. Like what's all the doors on the top? Like this is a rom-com. I don't know if we want to shout out the weird bat missile
No,
car from the second movie.
no, we don't.
I remember having the McDonald's toy. And we do have this one is I think this is the Batman Forever one.
Yeah.
It actually grew on me. It actually looks pretty slick when you see it in the movie. Although that black and white inset picture I took of the fin looks ridiculous. And then this is the Batman and Robin one, I think,
with the stupid jet turbine in the front.
It looks ridiculous, but this real world picture actually makes it look kind of dirty. Like it looks like dirty as in good. It looks pretty sweet with the deep dish rims and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Animated series Batmobile, of course, this thing is ridiculously crazy. So that intro for the Batman show, definitely something you could watch for hours. The Tumblr.
Yeah,
of course. And they had a whole featurette. So I hope that on the DVD version of the Batman, they have a featurette on the new Batmobile.
they do.
And then we're gonna jump to this one. I actually quite like this one. That is this from
This
Justice
is a
League? No,
weird
Batman
one,
versus Superman,
man.
right?
This is BBS. It's bizarre, dude.
It looked more like a race car. It kind of had like the big spoiler and the open wheels and the front. I actually really like it. I actually really like the design. And when that scene came up, it was pretty funny, especially after Superman wrecked it and he's driving it all busted up. It was pretty funny. This is the Arkham Knight one. I don't know. I didn't get to play this game a lot, but it looked really cool. And
yeah, it is. You can actually drive. This is the first game that you're able to drive the Batmobile. So it was actually pretty cool, but it was tank-like. Much like the BBS stuff.
Yeah, I think they were supposed to release a copy of the video game that had a model of this car, and then something happened along production, so they all got canceled or something like that. So, shout outs to I don't know if we want to mention this Batwoman Corvette.
Nope.
It was kind of funny when it popped up, and of course we've got the Robert Pattinson, this beast of a Batmobile. Kind of funny to see it in bright light here, but in the movie it looks hella menacing.
It's intimidating.
Yeah. So, folks, let us know what your favorite was. I think I saw a bunch of shout outs to I feel like it's just the 89 in the animated series. Let me see. I feel like, a lot of people like the animated series one. I think people.
That's interesting. I always wondered because to me, I was like, it's so impractical. You're so like your front is like 10 feet away from you. It's so, you're all the way at the back, and it would be horrible to make a right-hand turn.
You would need the grappling hooks from the first Batman movie to make any turns in that car. So yeah, shout out to that. Steve asked if the new one is a 6. It's not anything. It's actually completely fabricated to my understanding.
Yeah, it is.
But it does pay homage to Mustangs, Chargers,
muscle cars,
Chevelles, whatever you want to call it. So I feel like it is for sure my favorite. But that Batman 66 Batmobile. Just something about it. I think it's nostalgia. Rob is 89, your ride or die.
89, and then this one. Yeah. I love this one. Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. All right, so let's start talking about the movie then. Sorry, that maybe took a little longer than I thought it would.
All right, man.
But Rob, how did you feel about this rewatch? This is maybe your third or fourth time watching it. It's only my second. Do you want me to talk a little bit about it first?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, so overall, I thought it was still a really good rewatch. I think during our previous review, so if you haven't checked out our previous review, we did have some concerns with watching it at home and being able to walk away when it kind of gets kind of slow and stuff. I think that is a factor, especially the opening scene, and especially on the rewatch, because you kind of know what the mystery is. So I found myself during the mystery parts where it's like kind of like, oh, what's going on, who's getting murdered, that type of stuff. I was kind of checking out a little bit. But for all the other like the performances and the actiony parts and that kind of stuff, it would hook me back in. So the opening scene with the Riddler, I'm kind of like, okay, I know what's going on. And then when Batman starts narrating, that's when I'm like, I'm really into this now. So overall, I thought it was a really good rewatch. I'm happy to rewatch it again. I think maybe I'm not going to watch it as much as A Winter Soldier because it does have that whole kind of murder mystery story element to it. So if it was a straight up action, then you can just turn on straight up action any time of the week. But a murder mystery, I think Gord might have mentioned that you can only watch this at night. And I think during our review, you said, it'd be great to watch this at Halloween. I feel like this is going to be one of those movies where, you watch it in the dark at night, or you watch it around that kind of like Halloween mysterious kind of time of day. Rob, what are your overall thoughts on the rewatch in the comfort of your own home now?
Yeah, so let me just say, I hope everybody had an opportunity to check it out on Crave up in Canada. And Scott, I believe he watched it for the first time at home on HBO Max because he didn't go to the theater. I could be wrong, but I know Scott was going to watch it. So Scott, let us know. Let me just say this: it came out. I bought my copy through iTunes 4K. I wanted to see what it was like. During our review, John, I said I was a bit concerned how it would translate at home, if it would be too dark, because it in the theater it felt very dark. And man, I gotta say, this movie looks gorgeous at home. Like, any concerns I had were completely wiped away. The transfer is phenomenal. It's super crisp. Like, even the nighttime scenes look bright. You know, I was honestly blown away by how gorgeous this movie looks for a movie that 99% of it is shot at nighttime or in the dark. It's super crystal clear. No concerns about missing anything. So I was totally happy with that. Yes. So I saw it twice in the theaters. I've seen it. I saw it twice this week. I watched it through my copy. I watched part of it on Crave. I wanted to see how the transfer, because it's Crave announced that they were broadcasting it in 4K. It's a good transfer as well. It's, you know, I think that my purchase copy is a bit more native 4K compared to what Crave has, but it was still a very good copy. I also watched parts of it, John, on my phone and on my iPad. The things I do for this show, bud. I wanted to make sure that
the research, the in-depth research.
Yes,
did you watch it in the comfort of your couch and on the toilet as well?
That's right. I was on the treadmill. I was on the treadmill this morning on my phone, on my iPhone 11. I was watching it. You know, I had no issues with watching it, and I think that is a testament to just how great care that the cinematography and the filmmakers put towards this movie, man. And again, it is 3 hours long, so it is a haul. You have the option, obviously, being at home, that you can break it up. But man, I really enjoyed this movie. I actually, John, it's very rare for me to enjoy a movie at home more than I did in the theater, because I love that theater experience. But I loved watching this at home. I loved having the ability to kind of watch it in my basement, watch it in my main floor, go wherever I wanted to. And it's so much fun. And there's a lot that I didn't pick up. And this is the other thing about seeing in the theater. The scene when the Riddler, and towards the end, even though you still have like an hour left, when they arrest him in the diner, he is on that chair, the stool, and as he turns, it squeaks. I never heard that in the theater. Like, there's a lot of like this ambiance sounds and effects sounds that I never heard. And I was admittedly a bit nervous to see what's that Batmobile chase going to be like at home. No, wicked. So
I feel like it was better. I was able to make out more. And there's another scene where I think the first time he goes in the club and he just wrecks shop. I feel like I couldn't see anything in the theater, and then this one you can see a lot more. Okay, there's a whole bunch of nerdy questions, Rob, in this.
Okay.
In the chat here, if you can answer any of those, I'm going to address one quickly while you read them over. Steve asked if the Batmobile was ruined when the sea flooded. It depends on if Batman, and if you've ever gone to visit places like Florida and stuff like that, what happens if they hear a flood's coming? Everybody takes their car to the nearest mall or whatever parking structure and parks on the absolute top level. So if maybe before he decided to save those people, he ran and got the Batmobile and moved it to elevated ground in a parking structure or somewhere in Wayne Manor, that thing might have survived. All right. Can you answer any of these nerdy transfer questions, Rob?
Okay, so Gordon,
like, how was the color grading?
You'll never get 4K via streaming. It's as close to 4K streaming as you're going to get when you're. I think, like, yes, Gord is right. If you were to get a 4K Blu-ray player with your 4K TV and a 4K Blu-ray, and you watch it, that is legit 4K. But this is kind of like upscaling, one could say. It is very crystal clear. I've got the Apple TV 4K. I have a very good internet package and my 4K television, so it is good. Lewis, I think, is trying to twig me, ask me how the Dolby Atmos was, how the color grading was, and what the bit rate was.
No, he probably legit wants to know, dude. He's hardcore into that stuff.
I really liked it. And there was never a question of whether I would own a copy of it. I did question whether I should purchase the digital copy because it was going to be on Crave.
Mhm.
But I've seen a lot of shows on Crave. It doesn't come through like the 7.1 or the 5.1 or even the Dolby Atmos. It doesn't come through all the time in the decoding. So I wanted to be able to watch it the way I wanted to watch it. I watched it on my PS4. I watched it on my Apple TV 4K. Both were amazing with volume and picture.
Yeah. So on those days where you're like, I'm gonna hunker down and sit down for a legit rewatch of this movie, that's when you're gonna pop in your whatever physical copy, and then when you're just like feel like, oh, I want to watch that scene again, you turn on your digital downloads or whatever. So I feel like owning it on multiple mediums means that you can enjoy it all the more. It does seem kind of silly when you start adding up money, but life is too short to not enjoy these movies you love. So I think that's half the reason we do this show. Let's talk about our favorite scenes, Rob, before we get too into this nerdy stuff. So I think my favorite scene is still that Batmobile scene. I don't know if you have a favorite scene, and then maybe a scene that you appreciate more on the rewatch. So mine is that Batmobile scene is my favorite scene. Just the whole lead up to it, the chase and the aftermath is great. But scenes that I appreciated more was the scene where Batman is kind of locked up with all the cops. And just the sheer amount of people in that room is actually, you're legit scared for Batman, because you're like, how's he going to get out of this? Because there's so many guys. And it was really intense. And then the other scene that looked really good on the home watch is the first Batman and Catwoman on that rooftop, which I feel like I didn't appreciate at all in the theaters. I was kind of just like too entangled in the mystery, and I'm like, oh, who's doing what's going on? But the two of them interacting, and then she's just kind of like, who are you under this mask? Are you scarred? And he's just like, yes, kind of like answering all the questions that he's all those things. I thought that was a really cool scene on the rewatch. So what are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I loved it. Both great scenes. So I don't know what my favorite scene is, because I have a few of them. So obviously so one I'm not, that you haven't mentioned, is the hallway scene where it's all dark and the elevator opens and it's the gunfire. And so I was watching, I went through all the special features that I with the digital copy, but there was a feature that was released, I think, before it came out on HBO Max, where Matt Reeves said he had this vision of doing it at night, and the cinematographer, they were like, how are we going to light it? And the cinematographer said, don't light it. Use the muzzle flashes to create the light. And Reeves was like, do you think that would actually work? And they did it. And that's what they shot it, and that's what they put in. So yeah, there was no external lighting at all. It was all the muzzle flashes that were lighting up that scene. I just loved the way it looked. I thought it was phenomenal. The one that I actually appreciated a hell of a lot more than I did at home than I did in the theater was the end, when the mayor goes to get up to calm everybody down after being in the Gotham Square Gardens. Yeah. And she looks up and she gets shot by one of the Riddler's acolytes, right?
Yeah.
And Gordon's lying and he's holding her and he's looking up, right? And all of a sudden you see the bombs going all off.
Oh, yeah.
The explosions. And Batman comes down to the skylight, right? The roof. I loved that, like, watching it at home. I really got it. Like, it really, like, it blew me away.
It's like a ripple. I don't know what that explosion is called, but I guess it's like a cord.
Yeah,
that kind of like blows everything up, almost like a fuse. But I noticed that too. It looked really good because he's kind of like looking up and he's like kind of like, oh shit, what do I do? We're screwed. And then basically that was Batman's heroic entrance, and then he just it just ripples, blows everything up, and he just drops down and starts kicking ass.
Like, and to me was just phenomenal. I will say though, John, that we've seen a bunch of movies in theaters. I've seen a bunch of, I saw 7 in theaters. When you see these psychological thrillers, I think that they tend to work better at home, either alone or with, your partner or, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever, than it does in a theater. Like, they're really cool to watch in the theater, but I think sometimes that they get you more when you're at home, because you're more vulnerable at home. Right. And I think that this type of movie, because of the tone of it, often people said, oh, it's very much like Seven. Okay, so we'll call it like the Seven-ish aspect of it, of the murders and everything else like that, and the dark broodingness and the violence of it. I thought it worked so much better at home than I did in the theater. Not to say I didn't love it in the theater, but it just, yeah, man, this really just hit this. It exceeded my expectations watching it at home.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the characters and stuff. Do you have has your favorite character changed on the rewatch, or do you have a shout out to a lesser known character maybe? I really like, there's that weird that one cop with like the Ben Stiller mustache.
The biker mustache.
He's really funny to watch, like upon the rewatch, because I feel like maybe I didn't notice him, but he's there a lot. He's like there at the very beginning when Batman walks in, and he's kind of one of the first guys who's like, no, what are you doing here? And then it goes all the way to a scene later on where it's just him and Batman. And he's like, oh, yeah, my dad was like a carpet. Like, of course, gives Batman the one clue that solves everything, right? But their little interaction. And then he's like, whoa, what are you doing? They pull up the carpet. And then they're kind of like working together. So it's like this guy kind of journeys into like, hey, no, we don't need Batman to like, oh, hey, I'm a Batman, like, affiliate now or something like that.
Yeah, so, Batman stan.
Yeah. I really liked him, and I thought his performance was actually really cool.
Yeah,
when he's kind of like, we used to like you do that to tuck it's a carpet tucker, right? Like I thought that was great. Who's your favorite in the cast?
Well, it was my favorite. Was and still remains Colin Farrell's Penguin. Especially watching it at home, I just the nuances with like the way he would squint his eye and the curling of one side of his mouth, and honestly, like we've been watching movies that are really actor driven of late, and I can't take my eyes off his performance, man.
Yeah, I think we called it a little bit of stunt casting when we talked about it the first time, but now I kind of really appreciate it. Like after watching No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood and stuff like that, when you see a character actor or whoever is familiar, sometimes it'll take you out. So what you do is you make a very famous actor look completely different, and you get a good performance, but the fact that he's Colin Farrell doesn't pull you out of it. So I feel like there's kind of a trade-off there. Someone shouts out that he is getting a TV show, so we'll see what the fate of that is.
Yeah, because that is a good point. Because now that Warner Brothers has been sold to Discovery, is now Warner Brothers Discovery. There's been some talk about them not putting as much on HBO Max, that their focus, so much so that the Batgirl movie that was supposed to go right to HBO Max, John, is now being rumored that they're looking at putting it in theaters and not go directly to HBO Max. And that the new CEO is like, yeah, HBO Max is great. Why are we putting a lot of attention on this platform? So who knows? Maybe the Peacemaker TV show will still drive the intent behind for a Penguin show, but it's up in the air. John, there is, the scene in the, and I just discovered this when I was watching the show, the movie, the scene in the church, and Bruce Wayne is standing, and this guy starts talking to him about the white privileged people, the 99%, the 1%, and this and that. I didn't realize that guy is the same dude that Batman pummels at the end, and he goes, what are you supposed to be? And he's like, vengeance. And I was like, holy shit. I had no clue it was the same dude.
That's part of the whole journey, that he's like, oh, there's like this guy he's talking to in the church. And he's kind of like, I forgot what his speech is in the church, but he's like, how come the people get to do this or whatever, like that kind of stuff. And then, it kind of comes full circle. And it turns out he's one of the zealots or whatever you want to call it later on. He's like, oh shit, I'm effing up. I got to be more to the city, which I really like in the end. Like that speech at the end where he's like, the people need hope. Like I forgot what the whole speech is, but it's like they need to know someone's out there. I really like that speech on the rewatch. So since we're loving so many things, anybody else with their favorite scene, definitely throw it up there so we can talk about it. But do you have any criticisms or things that now you wish were like kind of stepped up a little in the movie? I'm not, now that we're seeing this in high def, I'm not a huge fan of Catwoman's mask.
Okay.
I don't know if there was something else they could have done with it. I don't know if maybe they could have given her goggles or just have her not wear the mask at all. I don't know. For some reason, it looked really bizarre on me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, she's not really Catwoman, right? Like this is, I guess, the whole point is that, in the credits she's referred to as, you know, Catwoman, Selena Kyle. But yeah, it's just a balaclava that she's wearing. It has little
it's cut,
ears. So I don't
it's
know
cut
if you
in a
noticed.
weird, it's cut in
It
a
is.
weird way that it's like humongous.
Yeah.
And then it has like the little part that goes over her nose. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's like a
remember,
hat. It's like she cut the bottom off.
yeah,
Right?
I remember it didn't bother me when I saw it originally, but for some reason on this rewatch, it wasn't as hot. And then I think Stu was the one that pointed out Alfred is one of the weak points of the movie. I think I have to agree with him. Yeah, the Alfred stuff could have been stronger.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you have anything that you would change or would love to see improved?
Yeah, well, I want to see more Alfred for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know who the female housekeeper was. I don't know if that's supposed to be a throwback or a tip of the hat to oh Christ, what was her name in the Batman 66 show? Aunt. Remember the old lady that was there? It was his.
I don't remember. I don't remember at all.
Doesn't matter. So yeah, I wish we had more Alfred. Gordon says that the one thing he didn't like was the wingsuit.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I'm kind of two minds of it. Because I was like, oh, the practicality. I mean, he gets to the top and he's like, oh, like he's freaking out how high he is, right? He's got this wingsuit.
Yo, shoutouts on the rewatch. There's one cop who actually like kind of dives to almost catch him.
Yeah.
And it's like right on the edge. I'm like, yo, dude, how much are you getting paid to be a cop in Gotham that you're like willing to basically jump off the end of this building to try and catch Batman on the edge of this gargoyle? But I thought that scene was a great payoff that he tries to land on top of that truck or the bus.
Yeah.
Hershey gets caught and he literally crashes, rolls around, and gets up and slinks off into the alley after. I think that's a great scene afterwards. But I'm curious as to why, like, Gord, do you just not like the idea of him using the wingsuit, or did you just think it looked silly? Or it was just funny that he just had this all of a sudden on deck, I guess hidden in his cape or something like that.
I thought it was interesting because again, they're trying to keep things grounded. This is only year 2, right? So he's not going to have like Batman Returns, you know, when he's at the top of the bill of the thing, you know, the Ice Queen's been pushed into the tree. People are like, oh my God, Batman killed her. And he's at the top and then he throws his arms out and all of a sudden his cape all of a sudden has his the skeleton inside of it, you know, the wings, right? And he dives off like, you know, okay, cool. And we saw something similar with Christian Bale's Batman as well in Batman Begins.
Yeah. With the skyhook thing. Yeah, Gordon.
You know, Batman Begins when he jumps off and right. But I actually thought it was. Okay. Like I thought it. Gordon says it made no sense, but I thought the practicality of it made sense. Mm-hmm. Again, in the special features, they talk about, and I'm not going to ruin it for people who are going to who will watch special features. But they talk about the problems filming that scene with COVID because they actually had a real base jumper and they had to like mess things around and edit stuff. So
it did look, the camera angle, like kind of like looking down on his basically forehead, kind of doing it. It looked pretty authentic. Like when you watch those YouTubers who do crazy stuff and they have the GoPro kind of like mounted on their head or whatever. It did look like that was pretty legit.
The only other thing I would say, John, is this: is that your favorite, or the one thing you appreciated more, was the scene in the police station, and so they're all after Batman. He zips up and it gets to this point we're talking about where he jumps, and then all of a sudden they all seem to be behind him, supporting him. And there was like 2 scenes later, so I was
the journey didn't quite match up for you.
Yeah, because like when they bring out Falcone, he's there, and they're all behind him, and they're all like.
You'd have to check. You have to check if those are the same cops. Maybe they weren't. Maybe those were all completely different cops. Shout out to that police scene again. I think there's one guy who grabs him by like the ear. During that cop scene, which looks great. He like grabs him with a Batman, just whips around and decks him. So I really love that scene.
But what happened? What happened to that? What happened to the Al Pacino wannabe, where he's like, now I've got you for
that guy's voice. Do you think that's his real voice, or do you think he tried to play something different? He's like,
no, it's probably his real voice.
All right, Bob, here's your lines, and he's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna try something different. So when you hit action, just roll with it. And then they're like, action. He's like, oh, the guys after like, what the F was that?
Yeah. What are you doing with this guy, Gordon?
Oh my god. All right. I do really like the whole, just before I forgot to mention it earlier, I like the whole idea that he keeps journals and this whole year
Yeah.
two thing. Like I really like that aspect. He's writing everything out, keeping these meticulous notes for him to go back through after. The grounded element of this movie really works. Let's see. Yeah. So Steve's saying didn't get any explanation of Batman's gadgets. Yeah, that is kind of true. He had a lot of tech. But I feel like for me, it didn't really need to be explained.
Well, he didn't really have a lot of tech. If you think he had
he had those crazy things on his arms, which were like some weird kind of almost arrow like gauntlets, right?
Yeah, but you know what those
explained.
were? Those were on the inside of his arms. He had the grappling gun, right? He pushed the button and they swung out, and those things on his arm were the grapples.
Okay.
That's what they were. So that when he was shooting at them, when he shot the double barreled at the two guys on the top of the thing. So that's what they were.
Impaled those guys' legs and hung them upside down. I feel like they're bleeding out slowly somewhere because they don't have time to to fish those guys down because everything instantly floods after.
Yeah,
so those guys are probably hanging upside down for a significant amount.
Sorry
of time.
about your femur. It's actually funny. So Gord says he loved the contact lenses, and that was cool. Yeah. So John, I'm doing my reread of Snyder Capullo Batman, and in issue 1, he's using a contact lens that allows him to, like, it's computer analyzing people's faces and places and stuff like that. And I was like, holy shit! Like, it was just, I completely forgot about it. It's been years since I've read it, right? So. I know that Reeves went back to like the original stuff, the Greatest Detective and this and that, but he obviously pulled a lot from, some newer shit too, right? So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Let me see if there was anything.
Oh, there's last thing. Okay, so Steve says Venom. Okay, so I just want to say this. People were always talking about the fact that he injected himself with Venom, and I don't think it was. I think it was an epinephrine or adrenaline, and I'll tell you why. Very quickly, John. Years and years ago, I've told you guys before, my son is allergic to peanuts and tree nuts. Years and years ago, he was a little kid. He had an allergic reaction. We rushed him to the hospital. They put him on a puffer with epinephrine to inhale it. He was passed out, sleeping. My wife and I are sitting in the bed, on the edge of the bed, waiting, because it's going to be hours, right? Trying to get his blood oxygen back up. All of a sudden, he starts to stir. He jumps up on top of the bed, and he starts raging, going, I am the Incredible Hulk. And he's like, rah. And my wife and I, we had sandwiches, and we're like this, going. And he's like raging out, and he's like, rah. And then he just drops and goes back to sleep. And my wife's like, what the hell was that? And the allergist came in and said, forgot to tell you guys. That could happen. It's an adrenaline, right? It starts working through his system. It can, causes him to have this. So, all this to say, John, is that people are saying, it's Venom because it's green. Epinephrine or adrenaline is white in its nature. It's a clear liquid. People wouldn't have understood what it was. I think he injects it into his thigh, much like you would an EpiPen. So my honest, true belief is I believe it's an epinephrine shot, not Venom.
It could be.
I could be wrong.
They could save it. Yeah, they could save it, and it could become something later on. But yeah, I feel like it is 100% just that Call of Duty perk where you're just like, boop, all right, I'm healed up. Let's keep it rolling. All right. Anything else you want to say that you noticed on the rewatch or just in general for this film before we wrap it up or carry on too long? I really do like the end bike scene. I know a lot of people make fun of it. It's like, we're gonna go ride our bike, but that's bicycle, I feel like I want to ride my anyways. I feel like it's a pretty cool scene because that's kind of like an intimate thing. Like if you've ever gone bike riding, and this is not even two people who are potential lovers. This is just if you're riding a bike and then you come across someone else riding a bike and you're kind of rolling with each other for a little while. There's like this kind of cool thing you go through. So the fact that they're kind of like going through some of the curves and they kind of one accelerates the other one, they're kind of just rallying back and forth, and then they do the split into the two different paths, and he just basically watches her in the mirror. It's not as sad as Fast and the Furious, but it's still pretty sad when she goes off into the distance and just disappears. You kind of feel for him, especially on the rewatch where you kind of get to you're not watching in the theater and it's like 2 a.m. and you're like, all right, come on, wrap this up. Sure. But I thought it was actually a great scene, and I would have 100% made fun of it after the first watch for sure.
Yeah, I will just say I'm just gonna harken back to what I said earlier. As I think this type of movie, I think it because of the subject material and how it's delivered, the psychological thriller aspect really lends itself well to being at home.
Mhm.
I really appreciated the Coulson scene in the church a hell of a lot more than I did in the theater.
Yeah.
With the collar on his neck and everything else like that, and the phone taped to him. Like there's just so much more on Peter Skarsgård's performance in this than I had appreciated in the theater. So overall,
you can see more. You can see that he's all battered up. You can see the tape and everything all on him. So being able to see it more clearly, yeah, it definitely is really chilling for that scene.
Yeah, and so I think overall, John,
Yeah,
the one thing I've taken away from watching it twice this past week at home is that, yeah, I agree. It's not going to be something I can watch like once a month or whatever.
yeah.
But this is a movie that I wasn't sure how often I would watch it once I got it home, and after having seen it now twice this week, I'd be like, oh yeah, this will be in my rotation, my 10 or 12 movies or whatever. This will be in my rotation now of movies that I can throw on because there's a lot of this movie that I just loved watching. So
Yeah. I think sitting down and watching it in its entirety at home, it might feel like a difficult task, especially with so many things going on in our home lives. But if you can commit to it, sit down and just watch it. Maybe someone will publish points where you can kind of put a pause and come back to it, because some people might not have the 3-hour chunk to watch it. But I think you will, like Rob said in our previous review, you will be rewarded for watching the movie of this length. There's so much going on, especially Gotham looks amazing. We didn't even really get to talk about the music. I feel like the music still hits just as hard, especially that Nirvana song. I really love when it comes on the first time and he's narrating, and all the people are just walking through the streets of Gotham.
Sorry, before we go, do you quickly? We got to talk about his voice. Are you still down for his? Like, you're still enjoying it? Because I loved it again a lot more here than I did in the theater.
Yeah, I never had an issue. I don't have any issues with Pattinson's performance of the Batman, the narration, the Bruce Wayne, maybe his look with the kind of like long hair. I feel like they could have worked his hairstyle a little bit more so it didn't look just kind of like a lot of people call it emo or whatever. Like it still looks a little weird on Robert Pattinson. Maybe because we're used to seeing him in such good like other looks. Yeah, shout outs to Goy. Look at that. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people I talked to that were going, I don't think I'm gonna like it, and then they watched it, they're like, I actually really liked it. So we'll see how it goes there. Sarah had one more question before we get to wrapping things up. Team Edward or Team Jacob? Rob, do you remember back in the day whose team you were on? No, you claim no affiliation.
I am not a vampire dude, so
you're going Team Jacob?
No, I was not a werewolf guy either. So unless it was the Monster Squad, I was
totally Team Jacob. That guy was kicking ass. He turned into a freaking wolf. He was protecting Bella all through the way. I was totally not Team Edward, but now after seeing Batman,
I would never.
I might have to go back.
And I'll tell you why. Because American Werewolf in London scared the shit out of me, and the thought of actually like growing your like watching that transformation scene, I was like, I never want to be a werewolf. So no, I'm it was too painful. No thanks.
Okay, last question before we wrap up Batman. Rob, what you have to take the dog for a walk, or you got to go hit the treadmill. What is your all-time favorite Batman song you're gonna put on in your headphones? Is it the 1966 na 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 Batman?
Okay.
Is it 89's? Is this actually Danny Elfman?
It is. It's from his Oingo Boingo days. But yeah.
Is it the Danny Elfman Batman 89 score, the very classic it's been such an iconic. Is it Prince's Party Man? I love that song.
Yeah, none of the Prince.
A lot of people were like, you didn't pick Bat Dance, and I was like, Bat Dance is the song they played on the radio because they didn't know any better. You wanted to hear Party Man. Prince is a great. Is it Kiss from a Rose from Seal? One of the greatest songs of all time, I think. The Batman animated theme, great theme.
Yeah, but that's still taken from Danny Elfman's theme, right? So
yeah, it's kind of like a modification. Or is it this new Nirvana kind of track that just puts you in the mood to drive around slowly in the rain?
Well, listen, as people would, if you recall,
Bonus points for the Bane freestyle. Who likes hip hop?
I've been known to be on this show wearing my Nirvana t-shirt, so obviously it's there. I will say though, I'm a big fan of Kiss from a Rose. But did you know that song was already released, John, when Schumacher heard it and called up Seal and was like, "Hey, can I use this for the movie?" And that actually helped catapult that song up into the charts. So I'm surprised you didn't go U2 on Batman and Robin, John. I was surprised.
For some reason, I did not like that song. Sounds cool. U2's music is fantastic. But for some reason, that song, every time I feel like it came on YTV or whatever at the time, I'd be like, no, play Kiss from a Rose. What are you playing this one for? And it had a really weird
it's
video.
between Kiss from a Rose and Something in the Way by Nirvana, but probably Nirvana.
That's especially now. I think you cannot deny the amazingness that is Kiss from a Rose. You put it on any time. You can put it on when you're driving in your car.
You can
put it on when you're running. When you're running on the treadmill, or the rowing machine. You can turn it on in the middle of the night when you go take the dog for a walk or first thing in the morning. The song is just so versatile. Although I'm on a real Prince kick. I don't know how many times I listened to Raspberry Beret this weekend, but that song is so fun. Put it on right now, folks, after we're done here.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us for that extended Batman talk. I feel like we probably talked to each other more than we talked to you guys, but thank you for hanging out with us for Batman. Yeah, U2 was Batman Forever. Yep. Both those songs were Batman Forever, right?
Okay. So maybe was it Smashing Pumpkins then? Was that the one that was Batman and Robin?
There is a Smashing Pumpkins song as well, but I feel like no one really ever talks about that one. I feel like it's Kiss from a Rose. How is it not Kiss from a Rose? But that Na Batman, when we were growing up as kids, if that came on, you were running over to the TV.
Before we go, let's talk about next week, John. So listen, we have a big week coming up. Next Thursday/Friday, we are seeing the massive Marvel, the first Marvel movie of 2022 is dropping, and that is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And we are, well, there you go, John. We are going to be watching and rewatching Doctor Strange, which is currently on your Disney Plus subscription if you don't own a copy or whatever. John has never seen Doctor Strange, so I am very excited to see what he thinks. I have it in 3D, John, so I'm going to throw my glasses on. I'm going to watch it.
I've seen the part where he crashes the car, and everyone tells me that's the first 5 minutes.
Yes,
so I've seen that much of the movie.
Wow. So definitely, please watch if you have the opportunity, the time. Give Doctor Strange a watch, and then join John and I next week. Same strange time, same strange channel, 8:15.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Which when you were a kid, you had no concept of time, so you didn't know what the F was going on.
Well, it made no sense because every day was on different times. So we're definitely going to be checking out Doctor Strange. We'll talk about that as we lead into the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, all right. So a lot of people give me crap for not seeing Doctor Strange. I never got to see it in theaters, and I just the desire to watch it just was not there. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will catch you guys on the next one. I think that's all we got for you. Thanks for choosing us again for your Monday night entertainment. So we will talk to you guys again very soon. I've got another project in the works, Rob. We're gonna probably play some board games with everybody. So I got a special game for us to play. So we'll see who's free. So stay tuned for that. Check us out in the links. So if you guys want to get any Batman merchandise, we got some links in the description of this video. And if you type in the code Sidekick Batman, all one word, you can get 10% off any Batman merchandise if you want to get from our website. And we do have a link for if you want to order the Blu-ray 4K copy, whatever. We have an Amazon affiliate link in there. So check that out. Again, we'll see you guys next Monday. Peace out.
See ya.